Welcome. Today we are taking your very first step into the world of Python. This is the language that's behind some of the most mind-blowing AI. It's what crunches enormous amounts of data, and it builds the very websites you probably use every single day. So let's just dive right in.
Have you ever looked at a really slick website or seen what AI can do and thought to yourself, man, how does that even work? I wish I could build something like that. Well, that entire journey, whether it's web development or machine learning, it all starts with one single step: learning a language like Python. And the best part? It's literally designed to be one of the friendliest, easiest programming languages to pick up.
And look, this isn't going to be just a bunch of theory. I'm telling you, by the time we're done here, you are going to write a real, actual working computer program. Seriously, even if you've never, ever touched a line of code in your life, that all changes today.
Okay, so how in the world do we speak to a computer? In this first part, we're going to pull back the curtain on what programming really is. And trust me, it's way simpler than you might think.
When you boil it all down, this is it. This is all programming is. It's not some kind of dark magic. It's just communication. We have an idea in our head, we write down a set of instructions, which we call a program, to explain that idea, and the computer just follows them. The language we're going to use to write those instructions is Python.
Now, here's a little twist. Your computer doesn't actually understand Python directly. Nope, its native language is just zeros and ones. That's it. So we need a translator. For Python, that translator is called an interpreter. What it does is it takes our code, which is easy for us humans to read, and translates it, line by line, into the zeros and ones the machine can execute. It's kind of like having a personal translator with you in a foreign country, whispering in your ear. This line-by-line thing is what makes Python so flexible and easy to fix when things go wrong, but it's also why it can sometimes be a bit slower than other languages that translate the whole thing at once.
All right, that's enough talk. It is time to get our hands dirty and actually write some code. Let's get our little digital workshop set up and create our very first program.
First things first, we only need two tools for our quest. First, you're going to head over to python.org and download the Python interpreter itself. That's the translator we just talked about. Then pop over to code.visualstudio.com to grab something called Visual Studio Code. It's a fantastic and totally free code editor. Just think of it like Microsoft Word, but specifically for writing code. It's where we're going to type out our instructions.
So once you've got those installed, open up your new code editor and create a new file. Now this is important. Save it as first_program.py. That .py at the end is super crucial. It's how the computer knows, hey, this is a Python file. Now just type this one single line in, exactly as you see it. Print, then an open parentheses, then hello world inside quotation marks, and a closing parentheses.
Okay, now for the magic moment. Run the file. And there it is. Hello world. You did it. You just gave a computer a command, and it obeyed. I know it seems small, but this is the absolute fundamental building block of everything in programming. You have officially spoken to your machine.
Great, we can make messages appear on the screen, but what if we want our programs to actually remember stuff? I mean, to build anything useful, we need a way to store information and use it later. And that's where something called variables comes into play.
I want you to imagine your computer's memory is just a giant warehouse full of millions of empty cardboard boxes. A variable is you walking up to one of those boxes, slapping a label on it, and now you can put something inside it and find it again easily. So instead of just some random box, you now have the username box or the player_score box.
So this is how it works, and this part is really key. When you type age equals 23, you're telling Python, hey, see that value on the right, the number 23? I want you to take it and store it inside the box I've labeled age on the left. This process is called assignment, and it's a core concept you'll use constantly.
Now, Python is pretty smart. It knows that you can't do math with a word, right? So it understands that different kinds of information need to be treated differently. Text, like hello, is what we call a string. A whole number, like 23, is an integer. And a number with a decimal point, like 25.99, is a float. The cool thing is, Python usually just figures out what type of data it is automatically for you.
And this right here, this is a perfect example of a mistake every single beginner makes, so let's get it straight right now. If you put something in quotes inside the print function, Python prints out that exact literal text. So print age just gives you the word age. But if you take the quotes away, Python goes looking for the variable box with that name and prints whatever is inside it. So print age gives you 23. See the difference? It's all about the quotes.
Okay, just like any spoken language, Python has a grammar, a set of rules you have to follow so the interpreter can understand what you're trying to say. Let's quickly go over the rules for naming our variable boxes.
These are super simple, but really important. Your variable names can have letters, numbers, and underscores. That's it. They can't start with a number, and you can't use special symbols. Following these rules helps you avoid something called a syntax error, which is basically the interpreter's throwing its hands up and saying, I have no idea what you mean. Oh, and a really crucial one. Python is case sensitive. A variable named age, all lowercase, is a totally different box from one named age with a capital A. That one gets everybody at first.
Okay, you've learned how to print things to the screen. You know how to store information in variables, and you know the basic rules of the road. It's time to put all those pieces together and solve your first real programming problem.
So here it is, your challenge. I want you to write a tiny program that calculates the sum of two numbers and then prints the answer. Go ahead, you can actually pause here and try to figure this out in your code editor. Think about how you'd use those variable boxes to hold the numbers and then how to show the result.
Ready? So how'd it go? Let's break down the logic. First, we need two boxes, or variables, to hold our numbers. We can just call them A and B. Then we need a third box to store the result of adding A and B together. And finally, we just have to tell the computer to print whatever value is inside that final sum box.
And this is exactly what that logic looks like in Python code. It's simple, it's clean, and you can read it almost like a sentence. The variable A gets the number 2, B gets 5, sum gets the result of A plus B, and then we print out whatever is inside the sum box, which of course will be 7.
Just take a second and look at how far you've come. In just a few minutes, you've gone from knowing nothing about code to writing a program that actually uses computer memory and performs a calculation. These right here, these are the absolute fundamental skills that every single complex app, every website, every AI is built upon. The path to building that thing you dream of, it literally starts right here with what you just did. So the only question left is, what are you going to build next?